And welcome to this episode of the Depths Podcast. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, @Trementum_X, writer, streamer, and lewdtuber. And I'm joined by my co-host, Lady Mystique. Say hi, Mystique.
Hi.
And so tonight's topic is going to be the confluence of neurodivergence and lewd content. So with us today are four neurodivergent VTubers of various degrees, and they'll tell you how in a bit. And while not everyone here is a lewdtuber, quote-unquote lewdtuber, they are... some are getting into lewd content, some are lewd like they'll tell you, basically. So let's do some introductions. We'll go from left to right. We'll start with Praxis and Theory.
Hello there, cuties. My name's Praxis. You probably may have seen me around Twitter, I don't know, or on Twitch. I stream mostly RPGs and roguelikes. Pleasure to be on here.
And Praxis, if I'm not mistaken, you identify as, and this is a term I learned today, is AU-ADHD. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically the connection between autism and ADHD. So, I have aspects of both.
I see.
I actually learned while doing research for this episode that 50% of people with autism have ADHD as well.
Yep.
That does not surprise me. It seems like there's probably a lot of overlap there.
Very interesting.
There is some overlaps between the symptoms of it. So that's why it's hard for some people to diagnose. Do you have ADHD? Do you have autism? Both?
Why not both, basically?
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Zaza LaFay.
Hey.
Get it right.
I'm Zaza. I was diagnosed with ADHD as a child, but I do believe I have both after doing the research and seeing what I have produced. But I like to stream cozy content, and I'm a bit of a comedian. I like to exasperate my chat. It's fun. I'm mainly on Twitter and Discord and Twitch.
Very cool. I do the same thing. Chat. Right, chat. Yeah.
No, Atra never teases his chat. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think we're one and the same there with sort of messing with chat. Speaking of chat, next up we have my mod, Puzzle Piece Angel.
Hi, I'm Puzzle Piece Angel. I am a lewdsome heavenly messenger of sus. So yeah, you'll see me around mostly on Twitter. So, and hopefully I'll get back into streaming pretty soon.
Very cool. And
it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Puzzle, you have, is it autism, was it?
Yes, I do have ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. I've been diagnosed with it since I was 4 years old. Took control of my advocacy when I was 14, and here I am 14 years later as an adult.
What does it mean to take control of your advocacy?
Well, basically, when you're in school with, your parents are basically helping you get your resources, with the school system. Hey, for me, because I was actually nonverbal for most of my life, I had a teacher's aide sit next to me to make sure that I was keeping on task with all my focus, all that. But when I turned 14, knowing what I have, I was like, okay, I have autonomy in what I want, what help do I need and what help do I don't need. So I started pulling back that, needs in high school, because obviously I'm not going to have those same services when you're an adult. So, yeah.
I think we'll definitely want to hear more about that later, sort of the transition from, having a supportive setting in school to adulthood, and sort of how that works. We'll definitely get into that in a bit, I think, because I think some people might be curious.
Yeah.
And next up, and last but not least, we have Maiden Shy White Wolf.
Hi, I'm Maiden. I stream Mostly survivor horror games, open world build, cozy, kind of lead some. Um, and I'm neurodivergent for a little different reason. I was really sick as a child, so they put me in ice when I was like a kid, and then they try to warm me back up, but I'm actually anemic due to it because they couldn't warm me up fast enough. So my cognitive skills, my learning and comprehension is a little bit slower, but also my family has really bad ADHD in their family, but I was never tested because I'm female, so we don't get really tested that much. Uh,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard because like now they want you to go through a normal doctor, and with my depression, it's hard, and then see a specialist, and then get tested, which is hard.
I
Yeah,
see.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, but also let's also have a word from Lady Mystique, our co-host.
Hi, I am Lady Mystique. I am a Lewdsome content creator on Fansly and Twitch. You can also find bits and pieces of my content on Twitter and YouTube. All of those links are at ladymystique.tv. I am not technically neurodivergent, as I believe Atra isn't either. I do suffer from very serious depression, for which I take regular medication, and I also have some anxiety. So what we are going to endeavor to treat this discussion with respect and compassion. And I know that this is a very emotive topic for a lot of people, so I would like to ask as well that everybody approach this with compassion and respect, because it is a very personal topic for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And so, with that in mind, actually, I do want to get into our first question, which is going to be, and I'm not trying to put a negative spin on this. I want to ask for like both sides of the equation. What is your experience being a VTuber like when you're on the spectrum? Like, give me some positives and negatives, I guess.
Um, I guess I can go first from being in the VTubing community for about a year. I would say it's definitely positive with the acceptance of and understanding of just how we are very, we think a little differently because everybody plays a video game like for example, Baldur's Gate. You're gonna make different choices than what someone would play Baldur's Gate. So it's kind of that understanding that we're processing things differently.
Mm.
So, would you say the way
And
that you approach games is a little bit different than other streamers? You'd say?
I think everybody approaches video games in their own kind of perspective. Like for me, I approach video games as, as they are storytelling tools for, certain people and sometimes escapism from reality. It's just depending on the person, but I think because VTubing can be kind of that escapism that everybody can experience of like, I don't have to pretend to be, what my body isn't or things of that nature.
I see.
Yeah.
I also agree because in story games, another big game like Baldur, same time as was Remnant, and
Mm.
there's some really big choices in there, and what I chose was totally different from my chats, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? And like, it's weird because it's hard to find people who can understand a little bit of what's going on in our brains,
Mm.
but they
Yeah.
still accept us for our weirdness, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. We're all very weird in our own, intricacies as, complex human beings.
Yeah.
I see. And how, like, so that's a good point, actually. How do your communities sort of like work around like the notion that you are neurodivergent? Do you have to set certain boundaries with them? Do you need to explain yourselves in certain ways? Like, what are some like interactions you have with your communities as a neurodivergent creator?
I usually have to admit when I'm starting to space, or if I'm trying to explain something and I start to ramble on, and then it goes into a different thought and then a different thought and a different thought, and the chat's like, where are we going with this? Usually I have to explain, oh yeah, well, I kind of have ADHD. This is just how my brain works, and I like there's usually a point to what I'm trying to explain, but it's going to take a bit longer. Usually they are generally understanding once I've explained it the first few times.
I see. It's tough, like being a VTuber and like being a content creator, because even if you're not quote unquote on the spectrum, it can be difficult to like entertain for like 5-6 hours at a time. Like, you know, some people can only manage 2, you know, and that's not even like making a judgment call in 2 hours. Like my average is 4, and like I know after 4 I start to space out and like get loopy.
Yeah.
Oh no. Is this when I call myself out?
That's up to you if you want to call yourself out.
Yeah.
So I like, my community knows that I'm mostly a night streamer, yes. The sun really bothers me, so I usually sleep during the day. But I have night curtains that like hanging up from my house, whatever. So like I go for 16 to 20 hours in my streams.
Wow.
I stream
Jesus
every day,
Christ.
and yeah, no, I've done
well.
what I actually haven't slept since 6:30 yesterday. So I've been up for over 24 hours. Because yeah. I've been
goodness.
streaming 11. Yeah, no, I stream for about 16 hours average.
I see. Is that like something you do a lot?
Yes. So I don't sleep a whole lot because my brain is going half a mile and then it's going so slow at the same time. So when I used to work 1 to 10, and then I used to stream until about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and sleep until 11, and then wake up again for work. I used to every day. Now I lost my job and I stream constantly.
Oh, I see. So you kind of just have that internal clock where like you're just active during those times, like regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm sorry, but I live alone and it gets to me. I don't get cabin fever. I don't need to go outside, but I get peeper fever. I need to talk to like at least one person.
That's totally
And-
valid. Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's my favorite person. Usually it's my partner, or I have a few of my mods, or someone I have special days with, which I'm just with that person.
Yeah.
I see. We have a question in chat actually from Faye the Succubus. Faye once asks, to throw an early question when there is a chance for the panel, I know it's fairly common for neurodivergent people to struggle with things like body language, keeping eye contact, reading expressions, etc. Have any amongst the panel found that VTubing has helped them with feeling comfortable in front of an audience where they may struggle with these things otherwise?
I think we should hear from Space and Rexy.
Beg pardon?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Praxi, do you want to talk about this? Because you've
Oh,
been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've exactly gotten better with it. I'm much more capable at doing things like maintaining a conversation and stuff through my VTubing than I am in real life. You know, when I'm in like real life, I always feel awkward like looking at people's eyes or whatever, and like so my eyes are always like trying to find a spot to focus on and not be weird and like
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say that I've actually been getting better at any of that, you know, not hyper focusing on little things that people probably don't even notice anyways. But I feel like I do pretty all right when I'm like actually VTubing.
You find that it's easier to communicate and perform while VTubing as opposed to in real life or with a face cam on.
Yeah, it also, I think, helps that VTubers are kind of known for scuff, because it helps when my tracking isn't quite right, which it, for the longest time was. I think it's actually pretty decent at this point, but
Yeah, that's good.
it took me a long time to get over my executive dysfunction and actually get to fixing that up, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is interesting. Yeah, go ahead. Go to.
You can go
My
ahead.
experience when it comes to streaming is before there was Twitch, Twitter used to have something called Periscope, and
Yeah.
the premise of it was you can go onto this global map and click on any little icon and just see what that person is streaming at the time. And I used to face cam stream on there, or doing like tarot and astrology and stuff. And the way that it worked was that because it wasn't on desktop, it was only on mobile. And essentially, you're staring at yourself, and whatever you see on there is what the audience is going to see. So I did pretty well. I had like, I don't know, I think it was like 100,000 followers or something. And all I was doing was talking to myself. It was literally just streaming to a mirror. And I got comfortable with that. And so when Twitch, became Twitch, and I did my little bit of streaming here and there, I hadn't made it to the face cam part yet because I only had my PS4 and I wasn't comfortable using the PlayStation 4 camera. But I took like a long hiatus, and then when I discovered VTubing, I was able to have the focal point that I was used to, and that's helped me a lot when streaming, because usually I'm just staring at whatever is on OBS, so I know exactly what my audience is seeing, and usually I'm just looking at myself when I'm streaming, and it makes things easier for me.
I see. That's very interesting. I don't think I've ever met a Periscope streamer before, actually.
Oh yeah, it was a whole thing.
Also,
definitely had
Zaza,
its own culture.
with your the bright pink stroke around your PNG, you look like graffiti on the back wall, and I think that's really cool.
Oh, thank
You
you.
look awesome.
That is really
Matthew.
cool, yeah.
Oh no, please,
Go
you
ahead.
go.
No, go. You go. It's fine.
Oh, I was going to ask another question, so I would love for you to continue on the topic,
Absolutely.
if you would
Oh.
like to.
All right. So, I've been streaming since 2014. I started off as a lake player and no cam, and then I actually switched to cam, and then got made fun of because I'm a bigger girl, and so I
Wow.
took that off, and someone made this cute little icon, so I started using that, and unknowingly became a PNG tuber. And then I've had this model for almost a year now,
What's up?
and so I've been a PNG for a few years, about 4 to 5. But I wasn't in the VTubing community. I wasn't known for that, like known for VTubing. So like being a VTuber this past year with an actual model, it has helped in some aspects of where I'm not afraid to speak up my voice anymore. But also I get bombarded with, "Hey, can I join you? Hey, can I do this? Can I do that?" Or they try to back to me. I'm like, yo, no, like, sorry.
No,
Like,
You should.
my community knows that I am a community person. I love my community, but I'm not a community gamer because of my social anxiety. I get overwhelmed with usually 3 people, including me. So this is a little stressful for me, but it has helped a little bit for that aspect.
Yeah, and you're doing fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to
it was-
say, I would never have known. You're doing amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm shaking in my boots.
Oh, you're doing great. If it helps, I am literally doing this with one of my front teeth missing. So, you know,
Oh yeah.
you're not the only one who's on the back foot tonight.
You
I'll
just have
join
one
you
of-
there.
Come join me on the couch. Come sit next to me.
Okay. Oh no, wait,
hold
I
on, I
can't
fail.
move myself.
No, I'm right here. I'll hold your hand.
It's okay.
My apologies, I'm back.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I had to deal with something. I don't know why my mouth just stays open when I leave tracking. It's so weird.
Mystique
It's
keeps
just-
getting into fights between recordings. It's a real problem. Yeah, I'm a real bruiser. I'm not a marshmallow at all.
Yeah. So, Mystique, I believe you had a
So-
question.
Yes, something that you guys have actually mentioned already, and which is a common sort of issue for neurodivergent people, is issues with like sensory and environmental challenges. And I'd like to know how you guys have adapted or set up your environment to make sure that you're as comfortable as possible.
I mean, I'm literally, it's always finding a good space where you feel comfortable, whether that be in your bedroom or, like maybe out in your own office space, just things that make you feel, safe.
Mm. Praxis?
Yeah, I guess as far as like my space setup goes, there was a brief time where I was streaming from my parents' house in like the middle of my current VTubing career. That wasn't as great. Um, it's not even like honestly that much of a problem most of the time, but it's just like the anxiety of knowing that they're there, and yeah.
Yeah.
But like, as I am now, I have multiple roommates, and I don't have any of the same anxiety stuff because like, we're mostly VTubers. We're all trans, so we have a lot more connection going on there. We're
Right.
a lot more in touch with each other's experiences, I'd say. So there's less nervousness about like, oh, if someone's going to overhear me say or do something and think I'm super duper weird. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So can I bring up a topic, I guess?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Please do.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
For me personally, I think my biggest struggle with my neurodivergence is I get really, really bad executive dysfunction. And
Yes.
I guess, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, and if anyone has a better definition of this than I do, then feel free to uh, describe it better. But it's basically like I have a very, very hard time getting started on things. Like especially new things that I've never done before, but I want to do for whatever reason. For example, like pretty much everything I've tried to do to improve my streams at some point, I've like had that idea for months on end and had to really struggle to get over that.
I see chat's agreeing with you 100%. They're all saying executive dysfunction is so real. Yeah.
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 I think, yeah, executive dysfunction is basically a difficulty with moving from thought to action, especially to start a new task or take executive action.
Oh, okay. I've actually haven't heard that term before.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a pretty good way to describe how it feels to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, I never heard of it, but I totally understand, especially like from my perspective, I guess because of just how I grew up in my area, it's just like being autistic and on the spectrum, no one has seen me, being as low support as I am. And so they're just like, how do we how do I engage in certain topics or engage in certain things when I have no idea what I'm doing, yet I have to prove that I'm the best, in this area. And I'm like, I'm not perfect. Please don't put this pressure on me.
True.
So just having the idea of that, I usually, if like for me, like if I'm want to start a new like art piece or something, I start on a work in progress that I like haven't touched in a while, something I'm familiar with, and then I get more confidence and build up that confidence, and then I start something new. Like, okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing, doing research or whatever, and go for it. That's how I learned to do it.
So like I'm
That's
seeing
really
also
interesting.
that not only does it cause like this difficulty getting started, but also like lengthens your to-do list to the point where you have so many different things going on at once, as what Faye is saying.
so much. I'm reading the chat here too, and like, yes, everything they're saying and more. Oh,
Mhm.
it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Also, I think I forgot to mention this in my little spiel at the beginning. If you guys need something, like if you need to take a sec or whatever, please speak up and say so. Like we're here to accommodate you, so whatever you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Okay, thank you.
uh, I drink a lot when I'm nervous, and I also smoke. So if you see my mouth randomly open, it's fine. I'm not speaking. Or if my head goes up or something, I'm just drinking. It's fine. Like it's my nerves.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
And for the topic, I I don't. I think I get comfy, and I don't want to change things because I'm comfortable, and then I'll just you know what F it, I'll just do it, and just change everything all at once. It goes into like a borderline personality disorder that I have. So I just change everything at once, and then you know, I changed everything about my stream to make it better. And then I think it's the depression of, oh shit, this is failing. What did I do wrong? That gets me.
Yeah. That
So it's like either feast or famine.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Like I either I have changed everything that I want to. I don't want to change anything else. And I keep asking, you know, as a VTuber, I'm like, hey, what can I make stream better? And they're like, you already have everything. And I was like, what can I need? How do we grow? Like,
Yeah.
I need this. Give me. I am thirsty. Make me drink.
so frustrating when you put so much work into something and then it just like doesn't bring the
Bottoms
results you're wanting
out.
from it, you know?
Ugh.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of things that as content creators we struggle with, but as neurodivergent, it can feel like it's a harder impact just because of it feels like it's a wall between us and, you know, what we hoped for or what we
Mhm.
wish to gain.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
And it really hurts
definitely.
like the mental health. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You guys are always like welcome to interrupt, or not even interrupt. Just say, just like speak. Yeah.
I just feel like with the executive order, and then with in the feast and famine, like Mystic said, it it puts a hard like depression mental state, especially since like sometimes our brains don't work the same. So most people would be like, "Oh, blow it off," you know, try something else. For us, it kind of I feel like it. Sorry if I speak wrong, and I feel like it sticks in our brains, and that's all we think about sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it does depend person to person, but I feel like with being neurodivergent, it really does like stick to us a lot more. Maybe because of our own, like sometimes it could be a compulsory thing, like trying to, or maybe us as like trying to figure out, okay, am I feeling this way because of my neurodivergency, or is this normal to feel this way? That kind of thing.
Mm.
I, I don't know if you guys also feel that too or not.
It's hard to say, right? Because like some of it definitely feels like a universal VTuber like thing. Like a lot of VTubers do struggle with these sort of things, but also like I'm sure it's like enhanced when you're feeling a certain way about the community, or like you may have some anxiety about the way people view you. You know, stuff like that, basically.
Yeah.
I always
Yes.
feel like I'm my stream is a very safe and open um like place. So I've literally like bawled my eyes out on stream because it boils and boils, and then I feel like I'm broken because no matter what I do, nothing works. And like I'm just like I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. And you know, my chat has to be like it's okay, Maiden, like, you know, we love you for you, and you know, just cry it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it sometimes even feels like, oh, you're just like I get a lot of negative stuff like, oh, you're just, you know, doing this for like content or you don't like acting. I'm like, why am I acting like this? Please tell me, how do I cry on command? I would love to know.
Hmm. Many
But-
actors would pay for that kind of skill.
Exactly. So it literally it's hard to, you know, for some people, especially when you don't have your face cam of like to see how you're reacting to like certain things, like actually seeing you break down or things like that, because they can only just hear, you know, hear you from that. And it's it's just like you I wish you could be in my brain so you could find out how much it hurts to be in here right now.
Mm.
I guess I do want to ask then, like, have you developed any coping mechanisms or like ways of dealing with any stressors that you might get while you're streaming?
I probably
have
have a. Oops, sorry.
I have my VTuber partner as a little chibi on my PNG while I stream, so I
Is
don't
it that
feel
little
alone.
slime thing?
Oh no, that's mine. That's
Oh!
Poppy Gun.
He is very cute.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've found that having, you know, someone or something on stream with me while I'm streaming is helpful for those times when the chat's quiet.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
For that, even now, even though there's a lot of voices going on, I confession I have Halloween ambience music in my background to like calm my brain. And Halloween's
Hey,
coming up, so I'm
Halloween-
excited. And like
Yeah,
Halloween music is like
exactly.
yes.
Yeah, having something that excites you and calms you is good. Like for me, I have my dog Butters. Like when things are quiet and I can talk to Butters, I'm like, "Hey Butters, what you doing?" And then Chad perks up
Aw.
like, "Butters."
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or did
Yeah, go ahead.
the Praxis want to say something?
I think so, but I actually spaced out on what. The question was. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, like
If
Yeah.
it,
I actually
Brain decided
apologize.
to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I apologize for not mentioning this earlier, but like this is like this sort of the format of this show basically is like I don't want to call on anybody. I usually just let people jump in when they feel comfortable.
I know. I just talked over them and I felt bad.
No, it's okay. It's a podcast. It happens all the time,
Yep.
especially with six voices in a room. Yeah, go ahead,
I
Praxis.
will say if I seem usually very quiet and then like the instant I start talking, it's like at the same second someone else starts talking. I promise I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm just like very bad in large group calls like this.
Oh yeah,
I'm
naturally.
very
okay.
bad at like getting in there when there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's like the thing with Discord in general. Like we don't see each other physically. We can't pick up on like cues or like anyone's body
Yeah.
language.
yeah, I
Yeah.
never talk over Atra. I don't know what people are talking about.
I usually use the talking stick method because my brain can't handle more than one conversation at once, and I'm very into. I need to concentrate on listening, or it goes in one ear and out the other. That's why I asked, because I was like, wait, I was like, Francis said something. I need to go back to her and ask, because I was like, I can't remember what they're gonna say. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got.
what did you want to say, Zaza? Oh, sorry.
Me?
Yeah.
I think I already spoke.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you? I'm sorry.
it was me who had the question. For people who for the comfort and everything. I don't have a voice in my head. I don't have what do you call it?
Inner monologue.
In a monologue?
Yes, I don't have an inner monologue. That's it. Thank you. So it's really hard for me to speak if someone's not speaking in chat or to me. And so, like most of the time, that's why I have music playing, because I got nothing in my brain. It's brain empty all the time, literally.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys ever had that problem or not.
I would trade places with you because my mind is always going. If there's not some random music or like a jingle going on in the back of my head, I'm reliving like certain scenes I've recently read or something like that, or conversations, and there's always something going on. Sometimes it's just hard to think.
Mm.
Like having background noise, like the TV on, is just, and it turns its own channels.
That actually reminds me of something that I learned very recently about ADHD. So, like, I think we pretty much always think of ADHD, like the hyperactivity being like physically hyperactive, like twitchy and stuff or whatever. But it's not necessarily like that. It can also be like mental hyperactivity, like your brain is always working. Like I know for me personally, like my brain, it always has like a jillion thoughts going on at once, often to the point where it affects my sleep, which has been a very real problem for me recently, what with work and stuff. But yeah, I just thought that was really fascinating and definitely helped me. I should mention that I'm not actually diagnosed with either ADHD or autism. I'm only self-diagnosed. But like every time I like listen to autistic or ADHD people speaking about like their experiences, I just relate to it so much, and then I like hear these actual terms to describe specific things, and I'm like, that's me right there, and so yeah. Also, yes, as Faye said in chat, the process for formal diagnosis is such a pain that really doesn't help. I can't even bring myself to
And
make an
it's
appointment for the
expensive.
doctor, like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably need to. It's been a while.
yeah, it's really hard. I don't know like any healthcare system outside of the U.S. or even in my state of California. It took my mom when I was 4, like so many doctors until one doctor didn't see me as my gender, as we discussed earlier about girls not being diagnosed with autism versus boys being more prone to being diagnosed with it. It's just my mom used to work in the hospital system, so she knows what, like, no, this is something. So it can take hours of analysis to have a diagnosis. So I understand for people that have to self-diagnose because like insurance might not cover all these, testing and
Oh yeah,
See,
for sure.
it's really hard for me to say that I have been tested because I have not been tested, as a toddler to teen or an adult. But because I was sick, can I say this for medical reasons because it's quote unquote my doctor said when I was born?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. When I was born, they told my mother I could be mentally retarded because that's what they used back then.
Right.
But that was that term, so I use that as
That
a medical
hard
term.
R.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it's
Yeah.
medical term. This was back in '95,
Right.
so
yeah.
Before anything was taken, because
exactly. Yeah.
my brain was hot, then frozen, then warm again, and since they said that, all 3 of my cousins are autistic. One's two high functioning, and one is always gonna be mommy's little girl. So like I have a lot of my family is on the spectrum. I've just never been tested because of the female thing. That's why I'm just like, I have to self-diagnose because that's what I literally told my mother, and I fit everything of being high functioning. So I put it that way.
Would that classify as a TMI, traumatic brain injury, or is that like some other brain injury?
I'm not exactly sure. It's so basically my brain was overheated with a fever of 103.
Oh.
And then they iced me, and then I got hypothermia due to it because they couldn't warm me up quickly, safe.
I see.
The thing with the childhood assessment and the hard R actually happened to my husband. So, and that's also something that has stuck with him his entire life. So I am sorry that happened to you as well.
I personally don't mind because my cousins have been tested and have diagnosed on the spectrum, but I don't allow that word in my chat unless I'm talking about my personal experience of what my doctor said.
Mm.
Because that was a different time back then. That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember when, and this is when Vebe, the whole thing what she did, and people trying to bring that word back. I'm like, please don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I've
you
gotten yelled
think
at so
that
many times for
people.
using that word.
Mm.
Mm.
Well,
So
it's
I
the context
was
matters, though. Yeah, go ahead,
Hmm.
Sacha.
Yeah, yeah, context doesn't matter.
I was diagnosed around 5 years old, and when this was happening, it was literally 1990.
Mm.
Mm.
And interesting fact, back then, if you had both autism and ADHD, you were legally not allowed to diagnose a child as both.
Huh.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
that was a thing. Yeah, because I was diagnosed in 99.
Yeah. And so I was diagnosed with ADHD, and with my experiences, they they put you on the medication, and really it's just because the fact that the teacher doesn't know how
Mm.
to
How to
connect
deal
with a
with it.
child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so that's the real reason why a lot of kids get on medication. It doesn't Sometimes it does help them focus, sometimes it doesn't, and other times pharmaceutical companies are pushing it onto doctors with incentives
Mm.
to, you know, make sure that the kids get diagnosed and stuff like that. So when I had the pill Ritalin at the time, and this is like 91, 92, it didn't really help me. I like became like a complete vegetable.
Mm.
So
Mm.
um
Hmm.
my mom was kind of like a heavy advocate then, and mainly because she wanted to get me on SSI, but
Mhm.
Mm.
a lot that she learned about, the whole system that she explained to me. Yeah, the diagnosis back then was really weird, which is why they're kind of the way they are now, where it's a lot harder because we've heard about it often. Parents get the kid diagnosed so they can take the pills themselves, so they can do
Hmm.
the focus and stuff like that, which
Mm.
is why it's so hard for adults to get medication now.
Mm.
It's I don't know.
That's
I just
true.
felt like I needed to explain that since
Mm.
I believe I might be one of the older people in this call right now. I just wanted to explain that part from back then to give like another layer
Mm.
of understanding to everything that everyone's explaining.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's very
Well,
valuable, actually.
yeah. Medical like awareness and interventions, or I hesitate to call them interventions, but accessibility helps and aids have come so far from the 80s and 90s, where everything was based on the sort of neurotypical ideal, and medications and assistance was basically a tool to help you fit in with that ideal versus to make you comfortable and give you the dignity of working within what what you're able to work with and how you are comfortable working.
Yeah, it just shows like I think in recent medicine, obviously with praxi was the new term being ADHD and autistic and having that like
Mm.
we are discovering so much more about being the neurodiversity of even within the spectrum. Like they're
Mm.
adding more things. Like again, I used to be my diagnosis just used to be just autism, nothing else, nothing like, Asperger's or anything like that.
Mm.
It's broadened a lot, and because our understanding of it has grown so much.
Yeah, I think the most that I have learned about this spectrum is on TikTok, where someone says, "Hey, did you know that this is actually a symptom?" And
Mm.
then, you have that little internal existential crisis about whether or not it's a personality quirk, but it's actually a symptom instead.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I do see some of those sometimes. I'm like, I don't think that's an autistic thing. I think that's just me being everybody thing.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that there are some things that people who are neurodivergent experience that people who are neurotypical also experience, and it will either be to a lesser degree or for a temporary period of time. The thing that defines someone being neurodivergent is the literal functioning of their brains, how their brains process and parse information and stimuli. And that can be genetic or it can be through acquiring of some sort of trauma, as in a medical word, like an injury, emotional or physical, or illness, malnutrition, stroke, for example. I've lost the thread. Yes, wait.
Power
Yeah,
through it.
I'm
Power
not-
through it.
So, it's important to realize that if you are experiencing these things, it may not necessarily mean that you are neurodivergent, but the experiences of both neurodivergent and neurotypical people are still valid, and you absolutely can get a taste of what the other person or the other sort of side, quote unquote, experiences.
It's like Faye says in chat. Neurodivergent traits and neurodivergent in general run on the spectrum. Neurotypical folks can have neurodivergent traits to a greater or lesser extent. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Although I will say the
sure.
specific thing that I saw was like, you know those bumper stickers that say "honk if you're horny."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of you probably seen this too. Like I forget what the exact wording was, but essentially it was like autistic people don't get this one. And I'm like, I don't get it either. What is it supposed to mean?
Oh my
I
God.
literally just had that one explained to me like less than a month ago.
Right. I
Oh.
thought it's just a joke. You just honk if you are, and then apparently no,
Yeah.
that's not the case.
Wait, is that not the case?
It's not the case.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's not?
what?
It's not.
So
Hold
Uh,
on.
should one of us explain it?
Yeah,
then?
Praxis, you
Yeah.
take this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So my understanding of it now, after having recently come across this explanation, is that basically people use it to as like a joke on people who honk at them, to be like, haha, you're honking at me because you're horny, or haha, you're honking at me for whatever reason, and not because you're angry, at me on the road or whatever.
Mhm,
Apparently.
So it's like changing the perspective of like they're honking at me from being like, oh God, I made a mistake, to haha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically,
So it's
if you honk, yeah.
gaslighting.
Yeah. Basically,
Wow.
yes. It's gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
No, I
it's-
don't even like outside advertisements on my car in the first place. I feel like that my beliefs should be like with me. I don't want to be a target. So just seeing bumper stickers in general is weird. It's like, why let people know that your kid goes to this school? Now they're going to be looking for them.
Yeah, thanks, human trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
from down
those
south-
ones are. Sorry.
Coming from down south where we have the honk for Jesus, thing. Does that actually not mean honk for Jesus?
Yeah, actually, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
What?
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm fucking mind blown.
Yep.
You ever have your mind blown on a Friday?
Well,
My poor brain.
That's
Welcome to
exactly what
Friday
it. That's
night.
exactly what it means.
oh my God.
I feel lied to my whole entire life.
I know.
If
It's like the
someone was
freaking.
doing an ADHD bingo right now from this particular episode,
Right.
they would get to free space right now with just learning a new fact.
Yeah, ADHD bingo. Check off your bingo card of having to explain a joke to someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something I'm quite
yeah.
interested in is how you guys express your sexuality, like
Perfect.
online and through your content.
I was just about to pivot to that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go last.
Oh.
Just saying.
Great minds.
Okay.
Should I go first?
Sure.
I feel like I just recently talked, so yeah, go.
Okay, so I I like to portray a very specific archetype, and it is the anime bro goth girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the way that I, show that or that aesthetic is that I retweet anime. Like, I don't really watch anime, but I'll pay enough attention to it so I can have conversations with guy friends I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I always retweet something that I know they would like because they're following me. So it's kind of like, we know that, you know, I don't know if we're supposed to say simp or not, but, a simp
Mhm.
follows you and they have this idea about you, and I like to play into that. And
So
so
you're
I'm
catering
all,
to them.
yes,
Mm.
yes,
Mm.
they are
Yep.
my target audience. So I retweet from very specific um, Twitter accounts and basically give this timeline not of like a VTuber promoting themselves and their friends, but like an actual person. Like it's my personal account that I'm using that's Space Beyonce. And I basically, you know, tweet like I normally would, but having these added features of like thinking of certain people.
I see.
Mm.
So it's sort of like part influencer, part like tastemaker. Like you're
Yeah.
curating like something for your followers essentially that you know they'd like.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that like the waifu thing
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, my waifu just happens to has shared this really interesting manga title that's coming out with me. I'm gonna go check that out. And I'm hoping that I do it with like hentai accounts as well, but it's not like crude or
Mhm.
raunchy. It's like it's just enough that you can kind of peek at work and then put your phone away. It's
Mhm.
something to help them get through the day before
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get home, and then they come and catch me on stream late in the evening.
So you'd probably look at like hentai and like lewd content as more like an art form, I'm guessing.
Yes.
It's a good way of looking at it.
Hentai is art.
Exactly.
It is.
Absolutely.
It reminds me. The best way I can explain it is that there's this TikTok where there's a guy and then a girl, and she acts like best buds with him. And then this girl comes in who's actually like his sister, and she's like, you don't even know him. Like he's my best friend type of thing. Like, you don't do you know what I'm talking about?
This
It's
sounds
kind of
like a
like,
pick me girl.
yeah, that's it. That's the word I was talking about. Like a pick me girl, which I have nothing against, but like that's what it reminded me of.
Mm.
And like if it works, it works.
I love the phrase tastemaker. I'm
Yes.
definitely stealing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good
Yeah,
one.
that's a good word.
So we did have a question earlier in chat, since we're not pivoting into like the more lewd section of like the discussion, and this is from Mistress Briley. Question for the panel: how has gotten into lewd content affected how you feel about sexual relations outside of content?
Hi,
So
Briley.
So well, I think the crux of this question is essentially like, have you discovered anything about your sexuality or like the way in which you view sexuality after like expressing it online like this, IRL?
Yeah. So like, I know for me, personally, before I started VTubing, I was like always 100% of the time very shy and reserved, like never ever really approached other people, and I'm still very much shy. This has not changed, but I am definitely like with my VTubing much more capable of reaching out and like talking to new people, usually in the form of teasing them online, for being horny. But yeah, so I guess it's helped me evolve into a bit more of an outgoing in certain ways person.
Interesting.
I could definitely see that.
Yep.
Because sort of the anonymity of VTubing and the ability basically to express yourself in like ways you normally wouldn't. Like you're testing things. You can test things out online basically when you're like streaming or making content, and you get that feedback from people, and you find that people either find it attractive or find it like titillating, and that kind of just pushes you forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I came into this trying to be a little bit more say so. That did not last very long.
I didn't even know the term when I started, and it didn't last long for me either.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think, yeah, for me was my sexuality. It definitely has changed now being in the YouTubing space, just understanding like myself and what I like and what I don't like, and accepting of, you know, everybody and what I'm interested in. And it's very hard because I grew up in a very conservative area, and people, especially with, you know, if you have autism, they basically treat you like a child for the rest of your life. But I'm like, I am an adult. I am a woman. I have autonomy. I want to learn this. And that's understandable if you don't want to engage with me because you don't know how to engage with somebody as neurodivergent. Here's my advice: treat them like a person. Please.
Ooh, great advice in many, many circumstances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, even before I got into VTubing, I'm a very big BDSM advocate. I don't really, I've been in the community since I was about 18, 19. So almost about 10 years. And so I know a lot of knowledge of it. But as becoming a VTuber, I realized that I'm a demisexual, which means that like not everyone will give me those feelings. I just can't be turned on like a light, which sometimes I wish I could, because I'm just like, look at all these people having this wonderful art, spicy art, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I want that, but I'm envious because I want something like that, but I don't want that. Does that make sense?
Like, you don't
Mm.
want it to be with somebody you don't know. Like,
Yes.
you want it with you want to be with people that you do know and that are comfortable with it. And, you know,
And that is like the biggest thing is that every YouTuber I see immediately gets spicy art of their collab partner, and I'm just like, I want to get to know you. And what I tell people is that you got to give my brain a boner before you give me a boner.
yeah, exactly.
That's a good way
Yeah.
of putting it.
It is like a not a one size fits all sort of thing, because definitely there are some YouTubers who like get art lots of people, and some people who just get art themselves actually.
But it gets me down because like I can be very lewd, you know. I do a very good ada, and you know I can be very sexual on stream, but only toward people usually in VC because I'm empathetic. I feed off energy that's given to me. If you give me lewd energy, I'm gonna give it lewd back. You know, if you're gonna talk science to me, I'm gonna talk science back and get all excited and everything. Like that's how I am, and sometimes I don't feel like I fit as a YouTuber, but I am because I'm more of an adult content creator.
Yeah, and I always encourage people not to get too hung up on the term. That's why it's very flexible for this talk show. This talk show is the Lewdtuber podcast, but we have many people who are not Lewdtubers on this show, because I'm recognizing that you can do adult content, you can talk about lewd things, be lewd some and such, and still fit in with like the broader landscape of what's out there in VTubing.
Right. And
there are adult things. Oh, sorry, Puzzle.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna agree. After and there are adult things that aren't sexual to talk about as well.
Yeah,
So
that's what
I
was gonna
completely
say.
yeah. Sorry, sweet pea. I didn't mean to talk over you. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
All good, all good.
This is why we're too polite. We need to stop.
Oh, my British ass fits in really
Not
well here.
neurodivergent, just British.
Yes.
We'll get you a bumper sticker that says that.
Honk if you're British.
Honk if you're British. I'm the most British American you'll probably ever meet in your life.
No.
Yeah, so speaking of that, let's talk more about like lewd content. So let's say how do I put this? So this is just a thought exercise. This is not about anyone of you in particular. Let's say for like one of the listeners of this podcast, let's say they are themselves neurodivergent and are possibly interested in pursuing a sexual relationship with somebody. What kind of advice would you give them to sort of like make that approach to someone who is neurotypical, and like, what are some things that they might want to do, or just general advice, I guess, like, how would they handle like that situation, especially in this online space?
My partner is actually in. I feel like they're more neurodivergent than neurotypical than neurodivergent, and in the beginning of our relationship, it was very, very rough because I like blunt people. Say it straight to my face, don't sugarcoat it, but they sugarcoated everything. So with us, we made like I hate to say it, but like a list of rules. And it has helped us greatly. I believe in fully talking out our problems without just, assuming things. And that is our biggest thing, is that if we immediately have a problem, stop, think, and then talk to one another. And like I always tell people, if you want to date someone who's different, you gotta learn them first. They gotta learn you. It's called vetting. You should always vet in a sexual relationship or friendship. Vet people, and sometimes you guys click, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Something that I did with my husband, we also literally did the thing where, like, he wrote not a list of rules, but like a contract, or like, I won't call it a proposal, but it was like formally writing down the framework of how he envisioned our relationship looking. And we did a thing where we called a bug report. So if there was something that the other person was doing that was like a serious problem, we would say, like, I want to file a bug report, and stop literally then and there and have a conversation about what was happening.
I
And
love that. Yeah,
that was
that's really
actually
good.
like, we were allowed to feel whatever we felt. We just weren't, we were like, okay, we're gonna approach this in a really constructive way. No, like, just negative statements that just sit there and don't go anywhere. And it was so helpful in helping us to like form a healthy and like mutually respectful and understanding relationship. I know I'm not neurodivergent, but my husband is, so I thought I'd relay the story.
Faye says Fuzzy's such a
relates to
developer.
me.
He's such a developer.
That's amazing.
So you kind of fit in with me and my partner in that sort of sense, where you're my partner in a sense, and then I'm your husband type of way. Where
Exactly, yes.
It helps us understand each other and brings us together with different brains meshing together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that approach. It's always, it's like coming up front of like what your guys' what's Fuzzy's expectations of, the relationship, and what, you're not going to play a guessing game with like what he wants, and trying to guess how that fits into yours, because the way I explain neurodivergence for people with like flirting or getting into a sexual relationship is, this neurodivergent person was just thrown into a game show, and they had to figure it out, and they're just like they weren't told anything ahead of time. And so having some kind of set of rules or expectations is very healthy. Like, for example, like, let's say, yeah, we want to engage sexually, but we're not pursuing a relationship, and that's having that, like, yes, this is what we're doing, and we both consent to it as adults, and we can move forward.
Exactly. So actually, like, something was brought up earlier that I want to touch on again, because I think that was a really good point, and that was the idea of infantilizing people on the spectrum, and especially when it comes to lewd content. So are you running into, as you explore lewd content panel, are you running into people saying, well, they're not comfortable with like interacting with you in that way because you are on the spectrum, or do you feel infantilized sometimes when people talk about like you doing lewd content?
For me personally, it hasn't come up as much, and I think that's primarily because, with like my content as a VTuber, I tend to focus. Like I don't really talk about my um, neurodivergence very much. I probably should talk about it more, if I'm being perfectly honest. But like, it even like it's kind of hard to talk about when you're still trying your best to understand it, you know? Um, so I haven't had that particular experience, but I can certainly see how it might end up becoming a thing in the future, or affecting the rest of us in here.
Mm-hmm. I feel puzzled you
Yeah.
might have. Go ahead, Maiden.
I was gonna say, for Mistress Briley, for Arrow, that's for Ace, isn't it? Or is it just Arrow, Ace, or
Aro is aromantic, Ace
Yeah.
is asexual.
aromantic? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Benny is
aromantic.
aromantic, but
She's
not
very
asexual.
aromatic.
Okay. I know, because I know for being Demi is under the Ace section, and like, it's so hard for me to flirt with people because I'm a tsundere. So like, if I like you, I'm going to be mean to you. And then people coming in, they're like, "Why are you so mean to this fucking person?" I'm like, "Cause no reason." But in DMs, I'm sweet as hell. It's only in public that I'm gonna treat you like trash.
Wow.
Oh jeez.
Oh my god.
Yes,
I don't know
Briley
what
is very aromatic. She smells great.
True.
I wonder what they smell.
I mean, like,
Oh.
if I'm being 100% honest myself, I think coming into doing the content, like, I wondered whether people on the spectrum could fully consent to certain things, if that makes sense. Because, like,
Yeah.
that is a question I have as a neurotypical person. Like, are they 100% able to, like, engage in this content? Like, how should I act if someone in chat is, like, very much on the spectrum? Like, is there ways that I should, like, temper what I say or do? Because, like, a lot of what I do is, like, very much like, if it's like flirting, or it's like, giving a reaction, or like lowering my voice like this, or stuff like that, like,
Making sure that you're being emotionally responsible.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's just from my own personal experience. Oh god, it's leaving me. I'm like, come back, thought, come back. No. All right. If someone else has thoughts about it, I'm gonna.
I mean, I'll keep
remember
spitballing.
it.
I'll keep spitballing. Like, I definitely, as Mystique says, want to be emotionally responsible, and like, recognize that everyone takes things differently, and I want to make sure that people's boundaries are respected too, especially when it comes to like being neurodivergent. I'm finding as I go along that the difference is very trivial. It's very minor. Everyone wants to be respected. Everyone has like their boundaries, and they'll communicate that to you usually. And if not, then you apologize and you find ways to make sure that you don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
See, as a sexual teen, I get these phases where I call them heat phases, where I don't really, I feel like I'm just going through emotions, no horniness at all, and all of a sudden for like a week straight, I'm like, I need to fuck something or something like that. But as a horny fucking teenager, I keep telling my chat, I'm like, look, if you knew me when I was back in like 17, I was a hoe. I as a demisexual at the age of 27, I've slept with 9 people.
Oh my!
And
Wow.
that was 2 threesomes.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have my partner. I'm very like, I've grown in my sexuality to where I know what I want, and if you can't give my brain or my body, then I just put you in this little section of like, I appreciate you as a friend and I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
So, Maiden, was that sort of hypersexual phase, was that a response to like anything like of your growing up, like the way people treated you, or just like your just natural inclination?
It's hard to say because I had a really, really bad childhood, and at the age of 17 was when my mother was like, use fucking condoms if you do anything, and I was like, freedom, yes. So I used to sneak out of my house and get picked up by this guy, consenting. In the state of Louisiana, I don't live there now, but in the state of Louisiana, consenting age is 17.
Mhm.
I was 17, sleeping someone twice my age, so he was like 30,
Oh.
30 something.
Mm.
And we would go down to the like riverbank and drink and have sex and everything. It was consenting, and I knew it was what I was doing. And people bashed me and everything. I'm like, look, it's consenting age there, And I wasn't newly freshly 17. I was close to 18.
Mm.
So I knew what I was doing, but that started my whole sexuality phase. And then I just fucked like a bunny for a few years, and now I'm just like, so my brain is like, my brain
Just
took
done
over and
with
is
that.
like, my brain is like, give me that tantalizing feeling, make me think.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's actually very interesting to like
Yeah.
to sort of like see that sort of like journey to where you are now. Like, so can you like, so you do have a partner and such, like, can you describe for us like what your lewd content kind of looks like?
Well, my lewd content, I usually do the ada-adas and everything. People used to call me mommy in chat because I had that demeanor, but I'm a very like caregiver type of person. But I'm very subby like too. So like I'm that nurturing sub. And people think it's like a soft mommy face. I'm like, no, honey.
That's a great point.
Like-
I wish people could see that you can be nurturing and not be like a parent
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
or a parental figure.
My community calls me Motherful, and I'm trying to get away from that. So now I'm known as Chat Princess for now.
That's amazing. Well, I'm actually physically disabled, and Fuzzy is my carer, but he's subby as fuck. Like, he doesn't have a dominant bone in his body.
We want to serve you, make you happy, because your happiness makes us happy, and
Exactly.
then we get rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
Mystique's a femdom, by the way, in case you guys didn't know.
Leo.
Oh, I could tell. I'm sorry.
Not the
Ayo.
See, and I think that's like the big thing with like sub and doms and everything, is that since I am in the BDSM community, like I can tell that Mystique is more femdom. I have that respect for it, and she's very respectful, right? It's hard for me to click with other quote unquote doms, just because I know the BDSM community, and I look for those red flags, and a lot of times I see them, I'm like, nope, gone.
Yep. Well, I actually run a femdom community on Discord, and we also, it's like a script. You can see those red flags from a mile away, and you're like, that's gonna happen, that's gonna happen, that's gonna happen, and it does.
And it does, and then you're like, knew it, and then you don't. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to feel egotistical or like be the person to be like, told you so. But I warned people. I'm like, look, I was like, I have this gut feeling. I see these red flags. I was like, please be careful. Some of my friends listen, some of them don't, and then they get dragged in. And I'm like, all right, I warned you.
Exactly. That's a great point, I think.
Praxis looked like they wanted to say something, actually.
Once again, Brain Train has left his station.
Yeah, it's very much a
I
better
forget
up.
what it was. If the original topic that sparked the idea came back up, I'd probably be able to remember.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
just remembered it. Sorry.
Yeah. You guys are always like, you guys take precedence as the guests, so please speak up.
Yeah, I just remembered where the original topic was about, like, how does a neurotypical person, like, engage in the sexual relationship, like, with a neurodivergence, like, with the consent, because of, just like that, idea, it's a lot of, like, the representation of neurodivergent. It's, like, it's two very extremes, and most of them are, like, very childlike in, mind and behavior. And one that is like more like they can behave themselves very well as an adult, but mentally in their mind they're still like slow at development. So it's always just gonna be like a case by case thing. So my recommendation was if you're going to engage with someone with neurodivergence, kind of just see and engage like what they're okay with. Most of the time, if they're online by themselves, then most likely they're going to be okay and they understand the consent. But it's always good to just stay like watch and see, like kind of just gauge, like basically a vibe check.
Yeah, so I was just
fucking
about to
Sheldon.
I was about to mention this. I was about to mention that Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory. So Faye touched on it earlier, but like the way that people are portrayed in like popular media when they're autistic is one of two ways. One of which is like infantilizing them and like making them sort of childlike and like sort of like, not capable of like being sexual. And then there's the other side of things where we have the savant, like the genius, like the guy or girl who basically is like socially inept and like doesn't care about, is basically just an asexual, aromantic, like human calculator. And then you see that manifest with Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory, for example, which people might have thought like 10 years ago was a progressive like portrayal of people on the spectrum, and now we see from like 10 years later, it's like, oh no, there was a lot of issues with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to love Big Bang Theory, and like the feminist and ableist stuff that I didn't realize was going on. I look back and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, on that topic, I used to be like a big fan of How I Met Your Mother, and like looking back,
just thinking that.
Oh yeah.
God, the fucking transphobia, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I didn't give it a single thought when I was watching it. It's just so, oh my gosh.
Misogyny, the transphobia.
Yes.
See,
It's
but I
definitely
can't.
a product of its time.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you have to just think about it as like it's a product of its time, like
But it's
you
so
say
funny.
like 10
because
10
like we're
years
living
ago,
in
this
that
was-
time sometimes, and we never think that we'll look back at the time we're in right now, like it's going to be a product of its time,
Yeah. As Nekomata Uriko said, it's a time capsule of just like of media that we thought we knew, and then 10 years go by and we're like, oh no, we were way off the mark.
It's like Sheldon is like, that meme of men writing women. It's like how a neurotypical person writes a neurodivergent person.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I can't say that I haven't not connected with Sheldon though. Some of the shit he's done, I'm like, oh, I've done that before. I'm like, oh, that's what that means? And then it's just like a realization of like watching it and then realizing, oh, I've done some of these things before. And I was like, do I look like this to other people?
Of course. I mean, that's the whole reason he's relatable, right? Is that it's grounded in reality, but like so much of his characteristics and like personality is played for laughs rather than treated as like him being a complete person.
Yeah, it's like it's like someone said earlier about men writing women. It's like a neurotypical person looking at a neurodivergent person from the outside and like hyper focusing on certain aspects which stand out most to them, and like catching on some things which are actually relatable to real neurodivergent people, but also getting all these things that are just not good representation at all.
And I mean, like, I've done things like that Penny has done sometimes, and like Penny is a terrible person. She's horrible.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
Like, holy shit. No one should be like her.
Yeah, it's just like you can like at certain moments, like I remember an episode, like it was a flashback episode of like why the elevator was broken, and
Oh yes. Sheldon set a bomb off in it.
No, because Leonard was trying to make a rocket and he messed up the formula, and Sheldon was just like, yeah, you messed it up, and he's like, no, I did not mess it up, and it's smoking. It's not supposed to be smoking. and without a second thought, just like, and very calm, Sheldon just picks up the bomb and just picks it up or something like that. Or it was Leonard that picks it up, and he was like, oh, I'm just going to toss it outside using the elevator. But Sheldon's like, no, it's going to explode in that amount of time. So he takes him out of the elevator, closes it. He's like, I had plenty of time. Boom. I was just like, yeah, that's me as a neurodivergent person. If I see someone in danger, I'm just gonna not say anything to get you out of that situation. We'll talk about it later.
I do that a lot in real life situations and like in games or something. I'm like, I can't speak it, but I'm like, oh shit, this is wrong. Let me just do this. And people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just let me do this quick. Hold on. And they're
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
oh.
Yeah. You'll get in just a minute. Hold on.
It also reminds me slightly of Moss from the IT crowd with like, I'll just put this over here with the rest of the fire. It's like the fire extinguisher that's on fire.
Yep.
I haven't actually even seen that show.
Highly recommend. It's very good.
Yeah, and Faye, Bernadette as well, started off as a normal person and then became this like screechy, horrible, like ball-busting nag.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Rude.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
all agree
I
that
hated how they-
women, neurodivergent people, and Asian men are all written terribly by that show?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moss is
gosh, yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Moss is awesome.
So the moral here is watch the IT crowd, not Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Yeah, IT crowd.
Although the IT crowd does have some shocking not homophobia. Yes, homophobia, but
I mean, it's
transphobia.
British.
No,
Yeah,
it's transphobia. Like it was written by not Gary Lineker, someone Lineker. Anyway,
I think that's what's so important about media analysis skills is like being able to identify in things which have problematic aspects to them, figuring out being able to see what's wrong with them and being able to engage with that media responsibly, even in spite of whatever problematic elements it has.
Exactly.
You know,
Right,
I
and
think I
oh,
just
go ahead.
realized why I don't like watching a lot of traditional media.
Mhm.
Because I'm not a person that likes to, stream Netflix. Like, if there's, like, something that a bunch of us is watching, I'll watch along, like community night and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But I'm not the kind of person that can go and sit and faithfully watch a show every week when it comes with a new episode comes out. And I believe that's why, because I can see the stuff that's problematic, and the second hand embarrassment for me physically hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I swear off of stuff after that.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing like RP in Discord or just reading fan fiction. And I find that more easier to digest because I can learn about the traditional media stuff like a good example is Supernatural.
Mhm.
You learn the entire pacing of the episodes, but they're a lot more interesting because you have more imaginative people writing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I realize
she
now.
breasted Boobily to the top of the stairs and tittered downwards.
Oh god, if it doesn't say crack fic on that tag and it says that, I'm backing out of
No.
that tab.
Yeah, and I feel like with that too, that like you're also helping people kind of steer away from like the usual tropes of how people write neurodivergent people, because it's always those two extremes, and it's like there's a lot of gray area between that.
Oh, for it, okay, I'm a big book reader and a movie watcher. If you like tasteful, spicy books, there's a few authors. One, I can't remember which one it is. It's either J.O. Word, Christine Fegan, or Lindsay Sands. But one of them has these Carpathian vampires, which have nanobots, so it like tells you about science and everything, but it's spicy. But a lot of the people who come into the relationship, one of them is a neurodivergent, where they think differently, and one person thinks logically and everything, and the other one person is more emotional and everything. And like, I enjoy reading those books because I feel like connected to one of the characters at least, and
Right.
it doesn't put down because it shows someone who actually like truly invests in you for no matter how you think, and it's really nice. And I just and they have great sex scenes, and they're all written by females,
Fantastic.
so it's not like yeah, then there's no like stereotypical male
Mm.
talk. No offense, Adra.
I'm not. I'm fine. I'm literally fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always hate saying because like
I'm.
the male, it's more femme version,
Mhm.
a femme vision than male vision.
It's less male
And-
gazy.
Well, yeah, I
Yes.
recognize
Yeah.
as a writer, because I am a writer also. I do recognize my shortcomings. I'm actually writing a script right now, commissioned for a lesbian couple, who is like, it's like an FF4A like script. So I'm like writing a sex scene between the two of them, and like I basically sent it to her. I'm like, okay, is this accurate? Is this how lesbians have sex? And she's like, yes. I'm like, good, nailed it. But I know damn well, like I don't know, like all I've seen is like, you know, pornographic like depictions of that. I don't know what that's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
There's a great movie about like the homosexual people it's got RuPaul in it, and I've forgotten the name of it. But they go to like a quote unquote like deprogramming camp where they make you straight.
Oh, Super
Oh,
Tracks.
no.
I love that
Oh.
show.
It's a movie.
It's a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie. It's got the girl who was the voice of Amethyst in Steven Universe in it.
Oh.
Oh,
And
I haven't seen
RuPaul
that
and
one.
like a bunch of other people, but it's got like amazing like perspective and portrayal of lesbian sexuality and like lesbian sex, and I highly recommend it if I could remember what it was called. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh no. I hate when you like remember the thing in its entirety or as much as you need to, but can't remember what it's called.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
that-
yeah.
I
Yep.
do that all the time, and then I show it on stream because I'm like, oh guys, this is what I mean, and I show them, and then immediately they're like, Maiden, how many tabs do you have open? I'm like, don't worry about my tabs.
oh gosh.
I have so many.
I
Yeah,
try to keep my tabs low because I'm like, I can't keep up with all these tabs. I need some order in my chaotic life.
Currently, I have
like,
11.
I have like 10 open at all times, and like 3 of them are things that I opened to do a thing. And then like the executive dysfunction kicked in because it was something
Yeah.
annoying to get done as part of it, and so it just sits there, you know, taunting me every time I look over at my web browser.
I have like a number of tabs across 2 windows open. Oh, but I'm a cheerleader.
Oh, that's what the show is called? Or the
Yeah,
movie?
she thinks she can't be gay because she's a cheerleader.
It looks
So
like
she has to like so she has to like jocks, and like she has the like terrible unfulfilling relationship with a jock,
Nice work,
and
Chad.
yeah. Oh, and Naji got it as well.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
we got it pretty early actually in the
Oh,
conversation.
I
they
wasn't
did.
looking.
Is it?
But yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm a
I'm
cheerleader.
definitely.
Fantastic movie.
I'll
Definitely
admit, I
watch
saw
it.
that and didn't know the context. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
big
was
fan
like,
of yours
what?
too, Najee.
That just makes me sad because now I just remembered that like I have sticky notes for things that I want to do, and I literally have a sticky note of what movies I should watch.
Mhm.
Oh no.
I'm still working on that list. I can't. I
Dude,
just
I
opened
have-
it to add this, so
I have a sticky note of animes to watch. It's a never-ending list. I'm
It's a
never going
2-page
to
sticky
get to
note.
these.
I don't really use
2
sticky notes
A4
much.
pages.
Yeah.
They're just
You know, you
posters on
didn't
a wall.
At this
Yeah.
point,
For me, it's my Steam library. I have so many things in there that
Rude.
like I freaking pick up fully
Rude.
intending to play through, and then they sit there unopened, never run, taking up space on my hard drive. It's a problem. That's honestly part of why I started streaming, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Make
And
you
then
play the
Steam will
games.
like
Yeah.
have that little row beneath her games like, would you like to play these games that you have here that you've never played before? I'm like, shut up, Steam. You're not my dad.
Mhm.
I need to play them.
Shut up, Steam. Where's Dave the Diver?
Exactly.
No.
you see,
I blame
that-
Atra. I blame Atra.
That happens to me, and then I'm like, oh, you know, I had this game. I was like, you know what, fine, I'll just launch it. And then I'm like sucked in for like 9 hours. I'm like, where did the time go? What happened?
Oh yeah, the
Fell out?
hyperfocus hits.
Fixation.
Yeah, and a lot of people think the hyperfocus is only neurodivergence. I'm like, I think it's just if you love something, you'll focus on it and learn everything about it. Because
Yeah.
why not?
That's me.
You
with
see,
Paradox
no,
games, yeah.
I'm not even wanting to learn about it. I just want to play it. Like, my biggest thing is that I hate people who min-max everything, because then I feel like I have to min-max everything. I'm like, let me just play the game. Let me just play. Like, I don't care what I'm doing. Let me just play this game.
Let me have fun, please.
Yes.
I can't handle this much brain
Yes.
power.
So many games I've quit just because they have like a forced multiplayer PvP competitive aspect, and it's like,
Oh
dude,
yeah,
no.
no.
Get this out of my face. I hate this.
Let me do what I want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, let me do the chill PvE stuff, okay? Y'all can do your PvP stuff over there. I'm gonna be over here, you know, building the team that I want, and
Exactly.
you know, just fighting like
Well
the
defense.
entities.
My chat has a trick that someone comes in my chat and he resubs and he's like, "Are you in the kitchen again, maiden?" I'm like, "No, I'm
No,
not
I'm on
cooking."
my bed. Thank you very much. Now
'Cause
come and
I-
cuddle me.
That's what I like. I like the cooking. I like aspects of like, you know, making like a home life. You know, while other people just, you know, fight and
Yeah.
everything. Let me cook, and then when you get home, I'm like, here, have some boofs. Here, go have some foods.
Yeah.
The Asian / Hispanic grandmother intensifies.
I have a question that's related to this. How has your neurodivergence affected like your attachments and your friendships and your approach to them? It's a big question. I'm sorry.
No,
It's a good one.
it's good. I'll let everybody else talk first before I get into mine because I have years of experience.
Oh dear.
Do you want to talk first? Or do you want me to go?
No. You go first.
So I have what we call favorite people. Favorite people can change, but most of the time, I get attached emotionally to a person, and then it's like I know they got stuff to do, but when they're online gaming, I'm like, oh, do you want to play together? Do you want to play this? Do you want to play that? Whatever. Do you just want to hang out or something? And then like my whole thing is that sometimes they'll just go poof and gone and go to like another friend group or something. And then I have the fear of abandonment, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I do? And then I just go in my little hole and just play by myself and just capsize myself in this little hole. And I have to try to not get these favorite people. Luckily, I don't want to say trained, but my partner and I have gotten so used to each other always being with each other that like we prefer to be with each other than other people.
Yeah.
So
So you
But-
don't find each other's presence like intrusive?
oh yeah, no, actually there's a thing where if I stream and they go to bed because they're Australian and I'm American, they will snore in my stream. But on the other hand, if I'm sleeping and they're streaming, you'll find me as a little wolf on their stream just snoring away.
Oh,
So we sleep.
Yeah.
We sleep in each other's like calls and everything because we're always with each other. Like I have a hard time sleeping by myself, so that was one of the rules is that I need to be in a call with you when I sleep. And they've gotten used to that, so when they go to sleep and I wake up, I'm always with them. So it's kind of become a learned thing with us,
Hmm.
and it works for both of us.
That's really interesting.
That's really sweet.
Ah,
So cute.
no.
It's adorable, okay? Shut.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like a lot of people have turned to like Discord and like sort of online spaces to sort of help them like find their favorite person, find people who sort of are able to work with their specific needs and like sort of have the patience to like, you know, and time to like, you know, do stuff like sleep calls and such. That's really wonderful that you're able to find that in the space.
Yeah.
A lot of my community actually, a lot of my lurkers, yeah, sometimes I have been averaging like, you know, up to 20-ish just recently, but mostly people will literally come into my stream and be like, okay, I'm here for sleepies. And I'm like, all right, I can be your sleep. So the people literally fall asleep to me, and they said that my voice is comforting and everything, and I'm just like, even while screaming at a game, they're like, yeah, no, you're comforting.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it feels like company.
Yeah, it's a thing for especially people in the autism community. Like sometimes, like I get paralysis of just like overwhelmed of like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? But if I have somebody sitting in like a room or even in a Discord call, we don't have to talk, but just knowing that their presence is there, I get so much shit done.
Mm. I honestly relate to that a lot too. Like having someone with me doing stuff. I mean, with me, I actually do kind of need a bit more interaction than just they're there, you know? But like for example, with me recently, I needed to look for a job for like the longest time, and I was only able to freaking get it done when I was, spending time with someone in call, and just like, having them with me
It's
to keep
the
me
presence,
focused.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the same way about cleaning or something. Like, I don't need you to do anything. Just sit there and talk to me. I'll work
Yeah.
if you talk to me.
Yeah. For me, it's like I don't mind if we don't talk. I would love it if we talk, but if you're doing something and as long as you're there, that I can reach out to you and talk to you, I am 100% okay. But that's a boundary of like, well, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be annoying. Just
Oh, this is what the neurotypical people sometimes call a work party. Well, they'll like go to like a public space and like all work together. That's what they call it. But the actual term for what we're describing here is called parallel play.
Okay.
I've heard that term before. Yeah.
Yeah, when you explain it with children, sometimes the neurotypical child is just there off to the side, just kind of chilling, while everyone else is running around and yelling and screaming and having a good time. Basically, the neurospicy child is just feeding off of the energy of the other kids. They don't have to engage, but they're there, and if they want to get up and run around for a bit, they can. They want to be
Yeah.
included, but not forced to interact.
yeah, that was me as a kid. Think through the childhood. But yeah, it was as Venny said, it's like body doubling. Like, there's streamers now that have like they're doing work streams where they just literally just sit down and do work and they have people watching them in their stream. Like you can chat with them or leave them in the background to do whatever you need to do because having someone that's productive helps you become productive. So yeah, it really helps for me as a neurodivergent person to have that.
I'm actually quite the opposite. I know I'm neurotypical, but like if I'm trying to get something done, go away and leave me alone. I don't want anybody looking at me or anything. I'm just gonna potter around by myself and just do my thing.
I mean, that's completely fair, though. That's just how you want to process your project.
It also kind of, I think, in my case at least, varies with the sort of relationship I have with the person involved. Like, if it's someone I have a close relationship with, I can actually get more done. But if it's someone who my relationship with is like purely business, like coworkers and stuff, them being there doesn't make things easier. It often makes it harder.
Yeah, I can feel that because I remember one of my safe people that I had when I was in most of my life until like college, and I found out that they really didn't understand my neuro diversity, and it was like they were talking shit behind my back and not like, oh, she's just playing it up. She really doesn't have it. And I'm like, bitch.
Jesus.
And she was
That's so shitty.
Yeah, and she was my safe person, and that really hurt. And it took me a while to find another safety person, and that was another childhood friend that went through almost the exact same thing I did.
I am so sorry that happened to you. That's a massive betrayal.
Huge
Yeah.
betrayal
Yeah.
first, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts, and like if a neurodivergent person tells you that you are their safety person, take it seriously, because that it means that it shows that they have full trust in you and they feel safe with you, and then you just go behind their back and do shit like that. Come on.
Yeah, so I think your safety people are kind of like my favorite people. They're like interchangeable type thing.
Yeah, I've learned to, like, because again, this is like someone that I knew since middle school up until college.
Mm.
So it was like at that point half my life that I knew this person. And we've been through so much together, like from my loss of my grandmother and loss of family, all that stuff, and then their stuff with uh their family issues and all that. And I was there for them and they were there for me until, like, I don't know what happened to them in college that made them change, but I don't need to know what happened, because people change and that's okay.
Yeah, there's like
It's
immaturity, there's like just people's social groups changes, so their dynamic changes too.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's completely fair, but let's go ahead.
I'm gonna say, science person here. Fun fact: did you know about every 7 years, your body will change, physically and mentally? So you can become allergic to something that you weren't allergic before, but it also changes your perspective, like life and thought processes. That's why they do the 7-year itch with people, because it takes about 7 years to get to know somebody. So during the time, someone will change, and if they say if you can handle the change of the person, you guys are good to go. And it's really fascinating that our bodies can actually do that. But it sucks because I want to give you a hug so bad.
Aw,
It's
same
okay.
here.
It's okay.
Yeah, hug the cookie.
The hug the cookie. You can't see it because I'm a PNG. I'm leaning on the cookie, like.
Aw.
But yeah, that's why I'm a big advocate for people with neurodivergencies, mental health, and boundaries, because of what I've been through, and I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through.
And you're a very gentle soul.
Thank you. I just being me.
I imagine it's very difficult to like do lewd content or like to consider yourself maybe in the future a lewd tuber when like these issues with people trusting, like putting trust in people and like, being able to like have like people take you like seriously and not talk about you behind your back come up like quite a bit.
Yeah,
It's happened quite a bit.
Yeah, it's very hard. So that's why I'm like, I need to find a safety person in the lewd tubing space where I'm like, I attach to you. Let's explore this together.
Ayo, explore. Sign me right up.
But like honestly, Atra's community is great for that, and like I'm not blowing smoke up his ass here, but like the community that Atra's built has a lot of people who are neurodiverse, who have these kinds of experiences, and it's awesome that they're able to like support each other so much.
Yeah, whether it be in the lewd tubing or just in general life stuff, because we understand.
Well, it's not a lewd tubing specific space to begin with. It's just a space where people respect each other,
I mean, that's what lewd tubing should be. It's about people respecting each other, whether it be in the sexual content or not.
Absolutely. How do you go about vetting people to decide whether or not you should trust them or whether they are trustworthy?
Ooh. See,
Can I just say I'm very, very bad at that?
Yeah, that's valid. That's
Like-
completely valid.
It is valid.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first close friends in the VTuber community ended up turning out to be a horrible person, and they're basically a pariah now. And like, I was completely blind to that for the longest time. And even when information about that came to light, like I was holding on to hope that they had improved themselves, that they weren't still that same person who they were.
See, it was the same with mine because my first experience, it was actually my junior high ex. His wife now was a VTuber, and they invited me to like a community Minecraft server, and I was fixing up a model and everything, and it turned out to be a bad situation because I knew him personally, and then I knew her personally, and I was like, she's putting on a front in front of all these people, but I knew who she truly is, and then she changed account names, she changed everything, and I'm like, you guys aren't seeing it, and people are supporting her, and I was like, you guys don't see this, like, so it's really hard for me to get to know people and then them all suddenly change.
And that's kind of the
like-
big problem with the VTubing in general, is that people can just reinvent themselves all of a sudden, change accounts, change models, and still be the same terrible person. And then you'll encounter that person, like, and you don't know what they were doing like a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's always just like, for me, it goes without saying, like, I don't think it matters whether you're neurodivergent or not. Just if it doesn't pass the vibe check, just don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so vibe
vibes
checks
are
are
very
very
important.
important. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you guys have gut feelings as well about? I wouldn't say
Yeah,
it doesn't
all
have to be
the
about people,
time.
situations. It can be about anything.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And I just didn't know if it was like my gut feelings are always spot on. I'm like, I hate it. Gut,
Well, when it
literally.
comes to
Oh,
like
gosh.
lewd tubing and like erotic content, also like it does attract a lot of people like who don't have the best intentions or the healthiest mindset sometimes. So
Yeah,
it does sort of
like
put you on the back foot
parasocial-
to sort of keep an eye on like certain behaviors, and because. And I'm not blaming anybody, but sometimes the etiquette sometimes isn't there. Like they'll just come in and try to be sexual immediately, or like ask you to collab with them in a sexual context, and it's gonna be like, that's a no. That's an automatic no. I do not.
Yeah,
like
like you've literally never
Yeah.
spoken to this person.
Yeah.
See, I find the opposite way. I actually tried recently did this. I tried to go to someone and I was like, hey, I want to collab with you. And I know you do spicier with people, and I was like, we don't have to do that. I prefer not to. I just want to collab, and so we can both bring our communities together and everything. They said sure. I gave them my Steam code. I still haven't got a friend request, and they still haven't talked to me about anything. And I was like, all right, fine.
I mean,
Oh yeah. but-
maybe. Sorry, I was just gonna say maybe they like, went to the message, saw it, we're going to do it, and then like forgot
No,
about it. I know
because they
that
said good
happens,
morning
yeah.
then, like a few days later.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oof,
No, but
that's-
my thing was
that's-
specifically like it's different for like lewd content in my opinion, because like the boundaries and consent that has to be established is so much higher in my opinion. Like there should be a baseline of like consent and like boundaries for any collab. Yes, even this podcast, but like in general, like for appearing in a sexual context with anybody, like for me at least, if I'm being careful and protecting myself, like that is something where I'm not gonna answer a cold call from somebody like, oh, do you want to like, unless they're like a super established like person, like if fucking like Fei like reached out tomorrow and like say, "Do you want to be like go join me on Fansly?" I'm like, sure, okay, I know who you are. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you have people, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this too, who will like come in to your like DMs or whatever and be like, "Oh, you're so hot, baby girl. I'm gonna head pat you because I
Oh,
don't
God.
care
Ugh.
like what you care about. Like, I don't care what you have to say about it. And like, why don't you come collab with me? You can suck my dick on stream." And I'm like, no, thank you.
Oh,
No,
I'm cringing so hard just hearing you describe it.
That's what's out here
I-
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the vibe check, or even just like, even if you don't know a person, like you said, if Fei collabs with you, like you know who Fei is, but they also have a good reputation of of like not being not too controversial, and maybe there's sometimes there is controversy, but that's where you do your own research into it too. Like
Of course.
be a little scientist. Be a little scientist.
Yeah.
I always tell people that you can't. When someone comes to me, like when I warn people about other people, I always tell them like, look, create your own opinion about them first. And I was like, I don't want what I say influence what you think, unless I absolutely know they're a horrible person or something. That like a really bad person. But I do the same for people. People tell me, oh, this person is bad, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna search, see their things and lurk in some streams or see who they are for who they are before I make a judge.
Absolutely. By the way, chat, if you have any questions for our guests, please feel free to put them in chat.
Oh yeah, we're coming up to 2 hours already.
Yes.
I know, time flies so fast.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like this
So-
has been a really good discussion, though.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss because of just how neurodivergence can be so broad in its spectrum, and it's also just to remind everybody that, again, there's a lot of gray areas, so you have to just kind of express yourself and explore. And for those who are neurodivergent, advocate for yourself of like where your boundaries are and where you need it. You don't have to fit into the typical, because human beings like to for us, we want to put things in a box or make sense of it.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of being human, is that we are complex, we are puzzle pieces, and we are discovering ourselves new every day.
I
Absolutely.
find a great comfort in the VTubing community because, one of the biggest issue for anyone who's, neurospicy is that in some way or another we have no choice but to mask. Like
Okay.
whether, we
Yeah.
have to bring up the nerve to make a phone call or to go out and take care of things and, run errands and all that. What I like about the VTubing community is that you get to create your mask. You don't have to do what is necessary for being out there.
Like in the big societal thing, we are people in this space. This is what we choose to present ourselves, choose our mask, and just do good. Or there's some people that choose to do bad, and I'm like, don't do that.
I'm the complete opposite. VTubing has actually let me unmask. I tell people, I'm like, what you see on stream is who I am. Like, you won't get any masking from me. Like, I am who I am on and off the stream. I'll treat you the same way either way.
Yeah, I feel the same way, honestly. Like, I personally have, for most of my life, felt kind of like an outcast. Like, I didn't know for the longest time what was different about me. Only really been getting answers of, finding answers to that in like the past couple of years. But like, I feel like, in a sense, I've been masking my entire life, and VTubing has also just helped me take off that mask. Helped me explore who I am when I'm not just trying to force myself to fit in when I clearly don't.
It's like your safe place.
Yeah, exactly.
Creating your own safe
Have you
space.
found more of a sort of community of people who are like you, like in the VTubing community, as opposed to like real life?
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely found more like-minded people online than I ever have, and that's for sure. I mean, I think it's mostly just because, like, I will end up interacting more on Twitter with, like, the people who I vibe with, and the people who I vibe with, there's probably a reason for that. Maybe because maybe they're also neurospicy. Maybe they just do things that I vibe with. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely helped me to understand myself better. Being able to interact with people without having to, you know, pretend to be things I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
Also with me, so I stream because, you know, I can go unmasked and everything. And I know this is going to be technically bad for British people, but I've always been called spazzy. You know, I am like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
this, there, and everything. And
Mm.
like sometimes I'm talking normally, and I'm like, oh, look at this, and like I freak people out, and I've been called obnoxious in real life, so I've kind of
Oh,
like masked that down. And like my chat encourages me, and they love it when I get excited over something so fucking simple, and I'm just like,
Mm.
I love you guys. Like my community is my rock.
Mm.
They are my safe place. That's why I stream so much, because sometimes I can't, as a middle little, I can't big, so I small and go into streaming.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
the best.
yeah, being in in this space, it's like I've been with Asher for only a couple of, in his community for a couple of months, and it's, and I've been in the VTubing space for a little while. So there's some that are, I didn't feel like, oh, maybe this is not the right fit for me, and that's okay. That is completely fair.
Mhm.
And but here in the I feel like I'm actually being treated as an adult versus like a child, and that's
Mm.
and that's amazing. It feels great.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and I'm glad that, with being neurodivergent, finding good people again.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel
Even
that
if
way.
yeah. Even if, like uh was just everything about my own past and trauma, all that fun stuff. It
Mm.
makes you who you are. And
Exactly.
and being in the VTubing space, it is a big comfort. Like, yeah, I don't particularly, I'm not an angel in real life. I'm sorry, shatter, immersion break.
No. Immersion break. The
I don't know,
immersion was
with how
shattered.
sweet you are,
Oh.
you can probably be an angel in real life.
Nah, trust me, I'm not. I say some of the most out of context, sussy things, and
I didn't say you couldn't be a gremlin angel.
Exactly.
An
This is
angel
true.
of what?
I remember I'm your heavenly measure of sus because I feel good that I am exploring myself in a safe space and I don't have to put my face on the internet because that's a lot of like
Mm.
that's where it's built up like for me is safety because being neurodivergent you have to be safe on the internet and that's for everybody. You have to be safe.
Yeah.
And being neurodivergent, finding your safe people, like your safe space people and your comfort people, and if you get a weird vibe, you could for me. I need like, does this sound off? Because text
Mm.
writing, I can't just like it's so different versus tone of voice, like.
I have noticed people starting to use those notations at the end of sentences, like HJ or J, like to convey tone, because that's something that people, not just neurodivergent people, but people in general, struggle with, like figuring out tone on the internet.
Can I
Interesting.
be a nerd for a second?
Sure.
Yes.
For a
Absolutely.
second.
We love nerds here.
No,
A
be a
couple of
second for
seconds.
10. Yeah, be a nerd for a full hour.
I'll give you 1 minute to nerd out. Go.
Okay.
No, full hour.
Start the clock. Those signals that you are talking about that inform your gut feeling, and signals like tone, body language, facial expressions, and stuff are called paralinguistic signals, and you can be, as a neurodivergent person, you can either be sort of hyper aware and hyper analytical, or not know how to of those paralinguistic signals, or not know how to like interpret them at all, and have that be like a big cause of anxiety. So, have you found that like communicating through like being a VTuber or like through writing has been easier or more difficult for you because a lot of those paralinguistic signals are removed? Was that 60 seconds?
About.
Yeah, that was about 60 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
You did
stop
it.
now.
You did it!
I did it! Yay!
Yay! Head pats for the cutie.
Yay!
but, but that's I guess it just really depends. Like for me, my art, like I made this PNG myself. It's my artistic expression of this is what I see myself as. A lot of people see me as being too cute to be sus, and I'm like, fuck you. Corrupt me then.
With consent, of course.
Yes, with consent.
I base my model off of me personally, like IRL, like body shape. So I'm bigger, so I'm a plus size model, right? And
Mhm.
how people have a bunch of like OCs and everything. I have one. This is me. My character's name is actually Snow, but as a Valkyrie with amnesia, we go by Maiden. And as you see, I use both third person and first person, is because we are one and the same, but I don't identify as anything. That's how I speak, is that we am as that's what I am. But I try to look more adultish because that's what I am. I am an adult and everything, and people find me cute, and I'm like, how? When they look at me, they're like, oh, you look sexy and you look like a mommy, and every smash and pass, I get the cuddle section. I'm like,
Oh, that
Oh,
sucks.
Oh.
That sucks. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
You're
So
gorgeous.
I just fucking stopped going into smash and passes because, yeah, I have the look of sexy, but then I'm that comfy. So they find that comfy
Yeah.
to be cute and childish and put me as a cuddle.
Oh yeah,
I'm like-
same with me. Same with me. I'm always put in pass, like too cute to smash, and I'm like, smash me, damn you!
Yes.
That is actually something that I've noticed. It's like there is an ableist view of sexuality where people with physical or mental differences or disabilities are like not seen as sexual beings
Yeah.
as much as neurotypical people are.
Definitely the
And I guess-
infantilizing too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's again the media portrayal. Like, I literally like I have a disability program, like housing program, where it's literally the other client. She is like in her 50s, but mentally she is basically 2 years old, and she would not be able to consent to adult activities and all that,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine. But there is people like me in this space that are, I literally am turning 28 today, and I'm like, I'm an
Yeah, happy
adult. I
birthday, by the
understand.
way.
Yeah, thank you.
I know I already put it on Twitter, but yeah.
Thank you. But that it's that portrayal, like that's the first thing people see and they don't know. And then once you get to know me, like obviously you guys, like Maiden and Praxi and they are learning who I am. You can probably, if you talk to me and didn't know I was neurodivergent, they'll be like, oh, huh.
It's you have to find out. It's about telling whether people are competent to consent or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's important to realize that people with disabilities are very often competent to consent.
They are, and sometimes there's gonna be like, I do have the blessing of like, I actually was stuck in a gym contract, but I was like, I can't afford to pay this. I thought I was only I thought this was something else, and so I literally had the chance of like telling the gym like, hey, you didn't fully tell me what I'm signing for as someone as neurodivergent. You better get me off of this contract, or there's gonna be some legal issues.
That's hilarious. You found the one way to just cancel a gym membership.
Oh my
Well,
god.
it's because I was like, they were like, oh, do you have like, they were coercing me into signing a contract that I was like, and I was just like 18 at the time. I never signed a contract before in my life. So I was just like, okay, if we're gonna do like maybe like one free like gym like personal trainer thing, and then we can sign a contract of like billing me to see if I actually want to go through with this. But that's not what happened.
Right.
Oh, I've been there.
And so I was like, yeah, this is how I'm gonna get out of it. And it's actually my mom helped me get out of it because I was 18, didn't know what to do. I was like, mom.
Oh.
Now I know.
Absolutely. Well, we'll start to wrap it up, I think. Ms. Teak, do you have something to say?
Oh, no, Mossy had a good question. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Oh, hang on. Oh, there we go. Mossy says, I've got a question for all. What do you do when the burnout hits in the middle of a stream?
Just for me, I've done that before back in my small streaming career. I'm just like, I'm sorry guys, I hit a wall or I'm not feeling so good, but stick around, we're gonna raid somebody, So I'd rather be upfront about it. Like, I'm sorry.
If you have people in chat,
I like to say that.
Go ahead, Jaja.
I like to say that the vibes did not reach the minimum amount needed to stream, and then I usually just say goodbye and raid out.
Oh.
Yeah, and if it is a situation maybe where you don't want to raid out, if you have people active in chat, sometimes it's best to stop your game for a bit and just go to just chatting or take a break. Get up, stand up, walk around a little bit.
Yeah,
Streaming
that's
is
why
grueling.
that's why we have BRB screens. It may take a while for us to get back to it, and if we can come back and say, hey, sorry, I'm just not up to it. Let's raid out.
Absolutely, that's valid too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have that's a slight issue with my flavor of neurodivergency is that I have an issue with regulating my moods. So if my mood gets really low, it can take hours to work it back up. And it's hindered me a bit when it's come to collaborations, because if something happens and I get upset right before the collaboration will take place, I will have to either heavily mask, or I have to just kind of bear through it, because I like to keep my obligations, but I try to work very hard to maintain the same mood so that I don't have to worry about it during the actual session.
Yeah, masking is so exhausting sometimes.
I bet.
See, when I like in your situation like that, like I was panicking in DMs earlier, and I was like, I like to be in like a Discord call like in 30 minutes to an hour before the collab actually starts. So like if anything does come up, I can be like, okay, did you want to do something else? Did you want to relax? Like we can play a chill game, or if you're in a I need to kill something mood, let's play some games or something, like
God, blood for the blood god.
yeah, that is like my thing, is that if I try to collab, it's not, when I collab with people, it's not just my stream. I usually don't mute during collabs, because to me, my community is your community. I was like, that's how I feel like how we grow. And I was like, if my chat asks me a question, I'm going to ask you the same question and want your opinion too. But if you are down or something, I would want to try to see if I can help the mood in any way, shape, or form. If I can't, then we can be like, okay, we can do another day or something. Just tell me what you want, because I am a people pleaser, but I'm not here for the game. I'm here for hanging out with my collab partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we should wrap it up. We are a bit over 2 hours at this point, so that's usually where we start to cut to.
There's just so.
I didn't get the answer to that last question.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have any final thoughts? Go ahead, Praxis.
Yeah, so I guess as far as like burnout goes, for me, it's usually not during stream when it happens. It's usually around the stream. So like, if, for example, before stream, I am like burned out from work or something, or if I've been trying to get something done in order to have it ready for stream, and typically, executive dysfunction or some other aspect of my particular brand of neurospicy, TM, is, making it difficult for me, then sometimes it gets to me so much that I just can't stream that day. And I usually come to that conclusion before the stream starts. And if it's not bad enough, usually streaming helps me, perk right back up. I think that has something to do with like being able to unmask, as it were, being able to really just let loose and be me and just, have fun, tease some cuties in chat, give them the old ara ara when they earn enough channel points for it. But yeah.
I suppose as a trans person as well, there's an extra layer to that, being able to unmask.
Oh yes, absolutely. It feels very good, streaming and like having the vast majority of people, at least, actually respect my pronouns and stuff, and treat me as my model, as opposed to what they perceive me as, like, and it's very, it feels very good. It's very uplifting, I would say.
That's
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah, any final thoughts, panel?
I guess the final thought is like, remember, neurodivergent people are still people.
Exactly, and everyone deserves respect.
When
There's
someone
a-
acts so, sorry.
There's a quote that I like to remember that I read once on someone's Tumblr bio, and it says that your favorite is likely autistic. And I took that as a sign that it's okay to keep VTubing, and that even though I have my downsides and stuff, because there's a lot more people like me in this space, and we're all suffering from the same things, so we're a lot more understanding of each other. It's been very helpful.
Very nice.
I would just say, like, if people just act a little differently, have patience. Don't just judge someone immediately. Give them a chance and be patient. And sometimes you'll see the side that you're like, and that's us who we are.
Very well put. Yeah, so that has been this episode of The Depths, lewd content and neurodivergent creators talking about their experiences, and it was a really good discussion. We're going to do some plugs, actually, so Praxis, do you have anything to plug?
Apart from yourself.
I guess. I stream over on Twitch. I have been getting videos edited. I'm stuck with the executive dysfunction of like actually figuring out how I'm going to go about posting them. But like I have a couple things actually lined up for my YouTube and stuff. But anyways, I stream on Twitch usually Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, typically at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesdays, lately, I've just been streaming Baldur's Gate. Thursdays, it's been roguelike game every week for a while now. Roguelike Thursdays. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
And I'd love to see you cuties in stream sometime.
Absolutely. Jaja, how about you? Zaza, how about you?
I stream Wednesday through Saturday from 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 11 Eastern, till about 3 to 5 hours. It depends on the day. I'm currently doing cozy content. Tonight, I'm going to be streaming Final Fantasy 14 for the first time.
Oh, very cool.
And
sounds fun.
And yeah, come on by if you want to hang out. Oh, and Saturday is the VR chat Degen night, so that's always fun.
Hey.
Oh.
We love that. next up, we've got Puzzle. The birthday girl.
Hi. No, stop. uh, you don't have to. Don't have to do anything for me. You can follow me on Twitch. I will try to get my shit together and stream more, but keep follow me on my Twitter for updates when that happens, or for funny haha memes.
That's Puzzle. You can catch her here on this channel too as my mod, and we are very grateful to her for sharing her experiences tonight.
Oh,
Sure.
Last
stop!
but
Don't
not
make
least,
me cry again.
we've got what did I do the first time? We've got Maiden.
So you can find me on Twitch almost every day. I'm usually afternoon to morning streamer on Maiden Star Wolf. I'm also on TikTok if you want to watch funny clips that I do stupid shit. It gets clipped and it gets put on TikTok. Twitter on Sean Sure Wolf, and then I guess the only really thing is that I'm close to 5,000 followers, and instead of doing a smash and pass, I'll be doing a VTuber tier list of like lore and fun facts.
Very nice.
So
That's
Sounds
really
amazing.
creative. I love that.
Absolutely, we love being creative. Like, smasher passes are so overdone at this point.
I'm sorry, I'm Demi. I'll pass on all of you bitches. That's what I said.
Dang, I'm hurt.
Meanwhile, I'll be just
No,
like
that's
smash,
completely-
smash, 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 smash.
Completely fair. We need to talk more, Maiden. We are very similar.
And last but not least, my co-host Lady Mystique.
Hi everyone. All my links are at ladymystique.tv. Also, we are entering the final days of the Alex Appeal. So if you like supporting good causes, buying a wheelchair for a person who has been made homeless for being LGBT, and you enjoy erotic audio by people who have all their teeth, then check out the pinned tweet on my Twitter and check out the Alex Appeal. There is an exclusive 6-page mini doujinshi and 2 full-length audios to enjoy. So have a look. Otherwise, ladymystique.tv.
Very nice, and it's for a good cause as well.
Yes.
Yes.
And as always, I've been your host, @Trementum_X. You find me here on Twitch almost every day, and when I'm not on here, you'll find me on Fansly, doing the same thing but with vibrators.
Sometimes with me.
Sometimes with
Hello.
Mystique, yes. This has been the Depths Podcast. We'll be back again next week, actually. So we're gonna not do bi-weekly. We're gonna do immediately do another episode next week, in which we're going to do it. I'm losing it. We have a teaser video. But yeah, like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.